It was a pink out at Ed Hubbard Field on Friday for the fight against breast cancer as the St. John's Redskins took on the hometown Pima Roughriders. It was a defensive gem in the first half, and both teams made early mistakes as they each fumbled on their opening possessions. On third down and long, Braden Brown made sure the Redskins receiver didn't go anywhere after the catch, and St. John's was forced to punt. Late in the first, St. John's had its biggest pass play of the night as Ramon Sanchez lifts one all the way up to Kyren Ulubare, who catches it in his breadbasket and could go. Oh no, he's just tripped up by Alec Judd, who saves the touchdown. The Pima defense then held and forced St. John's to punt. On 3rd and 8, Joshua Whitaker shows off his wheels and takes the ball all the way down to the Redskins' 30-yard line. However, Pima would again turn the ball over, this time on downs. St. John's began to push the run heavily in the second quarter, feeding Joseph Ramsey, who peeled off big chunks of yards nearly each time he touched the ball. Ramsey then ended the drive with this 15-yard scamper around the left side for 6. The extra point attempt failed, however, and St. John's was up 6-0. After the kickoff went out of bounds, Pima elected to have St. John's kick again, and what a smart play that was in hindsight, as Aaron Judd gathers in the kick, and he hits the seam, and he heads north, and nobody's gonna catch him as he goes 83 yards on the kickoff return. Judd then punched it in for the 2-point conversion, and Pima was up 8-6. After methodically moving the ball with the run, St. John's faced a 3rd and long, and Sanchez's pass is tipped, and it's intercepted by Braden Brown, who brings it back 34 yards into St. John's territory. Pima couldn't capitalize, however, and had to settle going into the half, up 8-6. On the first possession of the third quarter, Kyren Ulubare steps in front of a Whitaker pass, and Ulubare is in business. He makes one player miss, whoop, and then another miss, whoop, and then Ulubare is going to take it all the way back for a pick 6. Oh, luckily for Pima, the play was called back, however, for an illegal block, and the points came off the board. St. John's still ended up scoring, though, as TJ Heap took it in from the 1 on first down. Ramsey then took the pitch for the 2-point conversion, and St. John's was up 14-8. With the Redskins driving early in the fourth, Heap can't hang on to the handoff, and the ball gets batted around for a bit until Pima's Ryan Lewis finally pounces on it. On 3rd down and long, Whitaker is flushed out of the pocket, but he scrambles for a first down along the right sideline, and just as he steps out of bounds, TJ Heap gets peeled off on a solid legal hit. Oh, I tell you, folks, you could hear the pop all the way up in the press box, but the ref said the hit came after the play was dead and flagged Pima for 15 yards. On the very next play, Aaron Judd takes the pitch, and then he reverses his field. He dodges the ref's flag, and he could go all the way 61 yards for a touchdown, and Pima's back in business. But oh yeah, that darn flag Judge Dodge turned out to be holding, and the play was called back. Then it was St. John's turn to be flagged as Ramsey can't stop himself on this incomplete pass and runs right over the defenseless Brown. Pima worked the ball down to the 10 looking for the go-ahead score, but St. John's defense stepped up and the Rough Riders turned the ball over on downs. On the very next play, tailback Jared Fielder runs into his own blocker and then nobody else as he finds a big hole in the middle of the line, and he's gonna go all the way untouched for a back-breaking 90-yard score to put the Redskins up 20-8. Pima needed to score quickly to stay in the game, and that's just what they did as Whitaker rolls out to his right and hits a streaking Trey Thompson down the sideline on a 55-yard TD to cut the lead to 20-14. The ensuing onside kick failed, however, and St. John's was able to run out the clock to preserve the victory.
Yeah, I think that the key, ball control, kept the ball away from their quarterback, which is really good, and their receivers. And, I think clock control, all that came into play, and these guys, the way they ran, was the key to the victory. We went back to the drawing board Monday early, and a lot of 3-hour practices, and we said that we're going to try to redeem ourselves by going back to the Gila Valley and playing some decent football. And we knew they're good. They kicked our butt last year 44-12, or 44-14. So they knew they had to come and play hard to get this one. That's what they did.
Time after time, up the gut, through the middle, around the sides. I hear Ramsey, Ramsey, Ramsey. How'd you manage to gather so many yards?
Great blocking by our line and our lead blockers.
Is this normal for you? Do you usually get that many yards in a game?
Yes. Last week was rough, but we're going to get back on top, going back to quality football like we usually play.
The big run, 90-yarder, backbreaker. How'd that feel busting through that line?
Felt amazing. Our line did their job and gave me that hole so I could do it. It was practice that made us do this good, and we're going to keep it up.
Take me through that play real quick. Anyone touch you at all? You just bust through or what?
I hit my line in the back. Hopefully just keep my feet running, and that's how I regained my balance. I just ran.
It's close, but it's one of those games where we just played flat. I guess flat's the best word we could say. We just never really got in sync. It just seems like we were just flat. I kept thinking it's going to come, it just never came. So we should have got something going, but we never did.
Pima will next head to San Carlos to battle with the Apaches. Reporting from Pima for Gila Valley Central, I'm John Johnson.